Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Complex Female Characters, and today I will talk about a TV show, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, so spoilers ahead. Rebecca Bunch is this super smart, successful lawyer working a corporate job in New York. I will just leave this joke here when they put the whole intro song in a conversation.
She was working hard at a New York job making dough, but it made her blue. One day, she was crying a lot, and so she decided to move to West Covina, California. Brand new pals, new career. It happens to be where Josh lives. And that's exactly why she's here.
Loved it. Perfectly sums up the first season. So yeah, she moved across the USA because of this guy Josh, the guy she dated for a few months in her teen years. From the first 15 minutes of the show, and of course from the title, we can sense that it is something a little odd about her. Yeah, we saw the bills, the whole butter situation. Even though we kind of supported her decision, okay, I supported, especially when we saw that she is better off here in West Covina, some of her actions are so over the top, so irrational. So as a viewer, you're always confused how you should feel about her. So in this video, I will discuss why I think show creators created this character, which can be categorized as unreliable character, and how they stepped beyond that. Rebecca Bunch is an unreliable protagonist in a little more subtle way than, for example, protagonists in movies like Shutter Island or Fight Club. These kind of protagonists are, how you may already understand, not reliable. It means that they do not know the truth, or they believe in a lie, or even more often, suffer from some kind of mental illnesses, and the way they see the world, themselves, their actions, or other people is kind of far away from reality. In these movies, we see the best plot twists. An audience love being betrayed by screenwriters. We love that no way feeling. It is even better when you could feel it coming, but not in a way creators showed you. The moment when I realized that Rebecca Bunch is really not a reliable protagonist was that horrible date situation she had with Greg. I, as a viewer, was not able to understand why would Rebecca act this way. Also in this part of the show, I felt that Greg was the character I started to follow, not Rebecca. Why? Because he reacted in a way I, as a viewer, expecting him to. His actions, his wishes were logical, human, and most important, understandable and relatable. Although the creators of the show intentionally created Greg to be this super normal, grumpy guy in a show of a bunch of weird, extravagant, and not typical characters, they almost lost me. I remember saying to my boyfriend, I don't know if I will continue to watch the show anymore. It just feels bad to see the main character doing so much of bad stuff, like awful things. But I stayed, and now this is one of my favorite shows. So how did the writers of the show use this unreliable narrator or character thing in the show? First, they used it in a completely different way. They said that Rebecca was a kind of a character right in the beginning, how I said with Bills and the title. But as show goes, we see her not only as some crazy rom-com girl or unreliable narrator. We see how smart and talented she is in her workplace, that she is fun and charming, and her inner music videos are so on point. However, the amount of bad stuff she does, stalking, lying to herself and others, manipulating, more stalking, show us that she is not a great person. She's problematic. And how Rachel Bloom, the actress who plays Rebecca and co-writer of the show, said that they wanted to create a female anti-hero.
My goal isn't to make people like her.
The kind of a character that we don't really see very often. She is a villain in her own story, with a genius sidekick, Paula. Even though in my opinion she is one of the best acted characters in the show, Paula is problematic as well. In a big amount of scenes, she is written in a way that if showrunners wanted to play along with that unreliable character trope, she could be that alter identity thing, similar to Fight Club. You know, Paula is logical, fierce, fixated on a goal, she's great in technology, she never backs down, and she believes in Rebecca in a way Rebecca never believed in herself. She is the opposite of Rebecca in most cases. In most of the first season, we see these two trying different methods to win Josh over. Befriending Valencia, Thanksgiving with Josh's family, summer camp, the case. Of course, during that period of time, approximately 6 months, a lot of other things happen. Greg's and Rebecca's love story, Paula's saved marriage, and a lot more. And just when we saw a new relationship between Rebecca and Greg might turning into something more than just casual, it will not happen. Why? Well, because the show is great and romance with these two super difficult people who had even more difficult pasts would not be easy, from my perspective, even healthy. And Greg was right. It was a shit show. Well, what happens is that Rebecca got what she wanted. Josh chooses her, not Valencia. But it does not go the way she expected. Josh is not ready to jump in a new relationship. He feels lots of guilt because of Greg. He is lost in general. And from this point, show is getting better and better. Paula is trying to stay away from Rebecca's love life. Also, she tries to have a healthier friendship with Rebecca. Greg is dealing with his alcoholism and eventually goes to business school. Valencia has some rough time after breakup too. A bunch of stuff with Rebecca and other two, Team Nathaniel forever, which is not the things I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about Rebecca's breakdown. That is the part of the show creators stepped above rom-coms, love stories, musicals, the craziness itself. They created a real human being. And this is the representation that women need, not some Wonder Woman stuff. So the biggest breakdowns in Rebecca's life happens when she feels abandoned, which is the biggest thriller for her.
No, Josh!
When Josh and Greg left her, we see her going through the whole changing everything about my looks so people will think I'm okay phase, which is quite usual for women. Rebecca also has this tendency, not only physically, but in her head also. Through musical numbers, we see her trying on different personalities, ways of thinking, which signalize that she's not comfortable with herself. Even though Rebecca occasionally shows her wokeness and feminist views, romantic relationship is not only her basic human need, but also deep inside she thinks that real love will help her to never have problems again.
We'll never have problems again. We used to have problems, but now they're gone.
Real question is, what are these problems she sings about? What is the reason of these problems? And we got the answer after the biggest breakdown, suicide attempt, which happened when Josh shared Rebecca's private information about her past and her friends confronted her about it. Rebecca said some horrible stuff to the people she loves because she felt trapped. After her suicide attempt, she is forced to look inside to do some work, not only for herself but also for people who cares about her. We got an answer, BPD, borderline personality disorder. On screen, BPD was portrayed in movies like Fatal Attraction. In these portrayals, especially Fatal Attraction, women with this disorder is dangerous. We are scared of her, not for her. Even as a negatively portrayed disorder, BPD has been argued to have a very positive prognosis. Reports state that up to 3/4 of individuals diagnosed with BPD will experience measurable improvements with treatment, with many of the most debilitating and high-risk symptoms abating significantly. We see these significant and positive changes in Rebecca's character throughout the show, and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend's creators give us a real, raw representation of women with this mental disorder from her point of view, not male gaze. People who suffer from BPD, by the way, women are diagnosed about 3 times as often as men, have tendency to feel unsure about their own identity.
Perfect, they're not, but at least they know who they are.
Morals or values. They are not able to form stable relationships. We got the answer about the whole tragic Greg and Rebecca's date situation. People who suffers from BPD tend to feel emptiness, see world black and white. Reckless behavior is also one of the symptoms, which contains binge eating, uncontrollable spending, substance abuse, also idealization and evaluation of others. And we see this real woman doing a lot of work and going backslide, being trapped in a toxic relationship with her mother. We see her going through rough decisions, choosing career path, struggling to find her passion, choosing a romantic partner. And who helps at the end? A real friend. Rebecca has grown so she can let someone in her inner world, to see a real Rebecca. Paula was her first love, her first real relationship with another woman. Rebecca even called her Mama Paula. Paula was the first person who loved Rebecca for who she is. Paula inspired Rebecca to explore her love to music and theater. And yes, Rebecca did some crazy stuff, but her craziest action was not getting the help she needs. Like in another great show, Russian Doll was said, "See, that's why therapists are important. Without them, we are very unreliable narrators of our stories." For me, this is one of the most important messages in the story of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Rebecca became a person who is able to tell her story with the help of close ones and professionals. In this show, we see a representation of a woman with a little different body type than we usually see. A woman with a mental disorder. A woman who has to fight misogyny in herself. A woman who inspires others to seek deeper, to be better human beings. A woman who understands her privilege and uses it to help someone in need. This romantic musical comedy showed us not only complex female characters, but also mature, sensitive, open male characters. It was a rom-com about long and difficult path to loving yourself, really choosing you, not in a shallow you-go-girl way. The show wasn't perfect, but it was perfect for us, not perfect feminists.